Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Today is the 28th of July, year of our Lord 2025. Welcome to yet another edition of the Gulping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Hinkle, aka Motel Noah. Why don't we hit the ground running with this episode, and we do a part two to an email that we got in the last episode. And I'll give you some brief backstory if in case you didn't listen to the last episode. So in the previous episode, we got an email from a guy who I would imagine Cam Thomas is like his favorite player, and I would imagine that the Brooklyn Nets are his favorite team. And Matthew was the emailer's name, which is also the name of my brother. And he was upset about the Zach Lowe calling out of Cam Thomas and calling him a ball hog, and then he was upset that the response to that whole thing after Cam Thomas went on Twitter and publicly was like, shut up, Zach Lowe, you're an idiot and you don't know what you're talking about. People called Cam Thomas unprofessional, and so we sort of unpacked it, and I was like, hey, man, Zach Lowe's not really the guy to be mad at here. And there were layers to it, and if you're interested in revisiting the segment, I would encourage you to go back and listen to it. But that's the genesis of it, right? It's a Cam Thomas fan who's upset that he hasn't gotten paid, and he thinks that his name is being dragged through the mud. Now, I wanted to revisit this guy because I've sat on this email for 2 days and I haven't opened it because the subject line really grabbed my attention, and I didn't know if it was going to be hostile or what direction this was going to go. So I really wanted to save this email for like the show, and then in a very authentic way, we'll sort of unpack what Matthew's response to what I said was, and apparently it's not good. Because the subject line is, so we have beef, follow up to the Cam Thomas's consensus top 10 email. Right, yes, that was another piece of his email, was that he said that Cam Thomas was top 10. And I was like, are you talking about as a guy or as a player in the NBA or just as a scorer? And so maybe actually we'll get to the bottom of that in this email. But so we have beef really grabbed my attention. I'm going to say up front, the answer is no. But Matthew, welcome back to the show. Let's see if I got through to you on anything, and let's see how mad you are. I'm actually, you know what? I'm going to do something I never do. And you said at the beginning of this email something that's quote unquote not for the show. I actually think this will help a lot of the listeners, Matthew, and I think it's interesting that you didn't want to include this in the show. So I'm actually going to say this because it's not like a bad thing. Now, Matthew's email was also riddled with typos and me having no fucking idea what he was trying to say. And if you at home were also struggling to follow along with certain points of that email, well, you say here at the top of the email, not for the show. Off rip, my bad for not proofreading my voice to text. I meant no disrespect by not calling you by your name. I wasn't mad about you saying Nick Nickel. It was, if you're doing talk to text, that's sort of a thing. We get a lot of that, though. It's like, oh, sorry, this was a lot of typos. I was using talk to text. Do you guys really be using talk to text that much? Because it's not even just people on this show. Like, I see people on Reddit, like, they'll have a typo or something, and what they're saying doesn't make any damn sense. People call them out on it. They're like, oh, sorry, I was using talk to text. What? That's a thing that people, really utilize? I'm not shaming it. I guess I'm just sort of asking. Wow, that is really a thing that people use. Okay, so I just think it's interesting you didn't want to include that in the show, especially because part of it was you apologizing to me, which is very nice, which also leads me to believe that the rest of this email is going to be hostile as fuck. So apologies for breaking your trust by reading that on the show, but I do think it's important context that the reason that you spoke the way you did in the last email and didn't make a lot of sense at certain points in it was because you were using talk to text. I think that is actually important clarity for both myself and the audience at home. So now, for the real meat and potatoes, sorry for stalling here, folks. Now, for the show, let's clear some things up. This is not arguing your opinion, just providing clarity on shit I got cooked for. Number one, Cam Thomas is 100% consensus top scorers in the league right now. You did say you can't tame 10 people who can get a bucket better / more efficiently than Cam right now. I bet I can. I bet I can. Do you want me to, are you asking me to do it? You want me to break the email for a second, or do you really want to do this thing? If we're, I don't know what the numbers would suggest. Do you want me to start rattling some guys off? In no particular order. Let's see if I can name 10 guys that I believe are better / more efficient scorers, or just better scorers, because I don't have the numbers in front of me. But what my eyes would tell me, that is a better scorer than Cam Thomas. Let's just name 10 guys. Immediately, LeBron, Steph, KD. Don't care where at what stage they are in their career. They're still the best scorers in the NBA. One of them is literally the all-time leading scorer. So I'm going to go ahead and put them 3 in there. I'll put Jokic in there, 4. Put Giannis in there, that's 5. Book. That's 6. I'm going to put Brunson in there. That's 7. I'm going to put Luka in there. That's 8. Anthony Edwards. That's 9. Who else do I want to throw in here? Do I want to put Kyrie in there? That's 10. So, and by the way, there's probably like 6 other guys that I just like haven't named because I haven't spent that much time naming 10 other guys. So if you really, I don't know. If you want to pick out some of those guys and be like, they don't count. Oh, okay, so we can't count LeBron and Steph and KD, which for some reason, I don't know why you would say that, but if that's one of the things you're going to nitpick. Did I say Trae Young yet? I don't remember if I did. Okay, so we'll take those 3 guys out, and we're at 7. Paulo Banchero, I'm probably going to take him over Cam Thomas just because he's a world eater. He's awesome. I don't know what the numbers would suggest on that one. I think the edge may go to Cam Thomas, but again, sort of just eye testing it. Does Dame count because he's on one leg right now? He's got one Achilles. I don't know if Dame counts. Okay, we'll take him out of it. Well, if he doesn't count, then Tatum doesn't count. I would probably take him. But I would also take like Jaylen Brown, maybe. Like you could maybe sway me that he's not a more efficient scorer than Cam Thomas, but we're going to learn a lot about Jaylen Brown this year. You get what I'm saying here? Do you really want me to keep doing this? Kawhi, I'd take Kawhi. Shit, I might still take Harden, bro. Like, I don't know. I just don't really, you know what I mean? Bro, I might be able to name 20 guys. And I don't want to say all this and sound like I don't like Cam Thomas because I do. And that was something that I tried to lay out in the last episode. I'm just saying, Cam Thomas is 100% consensus top 10 scores. I don't think it's a consensus if everybody disagrees with you, is what I'm saying. So it's cool if you have a favorite player and like you have a favorite team. But I'm just saying, like, your case for it hasn't really been laid out for me so far. So, but maybe you'll, and let me get back to the email because maybe you'll lay some shit out and you'll teach me something, right? That's what I'm hoping for here, brother. Teach me something. Number 2, you said, I love Zach Lowe. I have no issue with what Zach Lowe said. The problem I had is the people that are saying Cam Thomas was quote unquote unprofessional for replying to him on Twitter, regardless of how right you may think Zach Lowe was, in saying what he said or how inconsequential one may think it is to contract negotiations. There are still tens of $1 million on the line. Zach Lowe gets his info from people. You can't say that league sources are telling him that he's, and I'm really helping you out with the grammar on this, brother. You can't say that league sources are telling he's an empty calorie stats guy and pretend like that isn't going to be heard by the guy signing the checks. You're once again creating an argument that does not make any goddamn sense to me. Because you're reiterating the point that I tried to deconstruct for you, which is Zach Lowe gets his information from higher ups. He gets his information from his fucking eyes, bro. He may like have conversations with, officials in like high ranking members of front offices where they kind of just like shoot the shit and be like, hey, what do you think about this thing? But that's not like where Zach Lowe is getting his opinions from. That's not how this thing works, right? And then what you would also have to assume is, oh, he's getting information from higher ups. Okay, so what you're saying is those higher ups are the ones who are like, Cam Thomas is a ball hog and he's blah, 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 and he's all this shit. And so that's the reason why he's not going to get paid? No, that's not why. That's not why. Did you see this, Matthew? Did you see this? Did you hear about this? According to Jake Fisher, and Jake Fisher really got to take him with a grain of salt because he's a guy who just shoots all his bullets, and I don't think he stores a lot of information. I think he hears something and he puts it out, and that's how he's been for years. So if Jake Fisher puts something out, he's probably been right a bunch of times, but I also know that he's been wrong a bunch of times. It's just sort of the name of the game, right? Jake Fisher said that the most recent offer that the Nets offered Cam Thomas was 2 years, $14.5 million. Record scratch freeze frame. You're probably wondering how Cam Thomas got here. By the way, $14.5 million is not average annual value. That's 2 years, $14.5 million. What was he making on a rookie scale deal? Like $10 million a year? What the fuck? Holy shit. Whoa. At this point, if you're Cam Thomas, you're better off accepting a qualifying offer and then just going into unrestricted free agency next year, where honestly, you'll probably be in the same situation, but really there's no way of knowing, right? Maybe he goes insane, and maybe with the 100 point guards that Brooklyn has on the team, maybe they'll be able to put something together, and Cam Thomas continuing to be the best player on that team will benefit him. But it didn't benefit him this offseason. It sure didn't. You know how we can like identify that is because it's the end of July. This is what I said in the last episode. It is the end of July, and teams have spent the last month of free agency not doing financial maneuvering to clear their books for Cam Thomas to pay him $20 million a year. Nobody's done that. By the way, Brooklyn hasn't even done that. They have been in no rush to do that because they're bidding against nobody. Nobody. He's in restricted free agency. You can go into the summer being like, okay, we're going to sit back and assess what other teams are going to offer Cam Thomas, right? So that way, when it comes time, if we want to match, we're going to match. Sean Marks just kind of had to sit on his hands, bro. Joseph Tsai maybe gave him a phone call or two and be like, hey, what's going on with that Cam Thomas thing? And he's like, we're just waiting for somebody to make an offer on him, but nobody's doing anything because everybody made their moves and everybody had their plans. And you know who wasn't in anybody's plans? Cam Thomas. He just wasn't for one reason or another. And I would argue that a lot of the reasons that Zach Lowe laid out are the reasons why maybe a team doesn't want to take a chance. I think sneaky Cam Thomas would be awesome in like Golden State. I think that would be pretty fun. I think he screams Miami Heat. But for some reason, Vegas is pointing to the Pistons. For some reason, Vegas is like, it's going to be Detroit. Maybe it will be. I don't know. I think there are teams where Cam Thomas makes sense. I think Brooklyn makes a lot of sense for Cam Thomas for one reason or another. And maybe some of those reasons are just that they stink and they need a guy who can hoop. And Cam Thomas can hoop, bro. But like, this is what I said. It's been a month of nobody trying to pay him. Zach Lowe came out with a podcast a week ago. That doesn't influence anything. That's just not how the NBA works. It has never been how it works. Literally, unless you're the Clutch Mafia and you're fucking Rich Paul, you don't have that much influence. You don't have that much influence. You know who represents, half of the NBA? Priority Sports. Specifically, the Bartlesteins. Josh and Mark. Which one? I think it's Mark is the real capital A agent, and Josh is the one who has worked in the Pistons front office. I may have that backwards. I don't know. It's his son, I'm pretty sure. You never really hear a peep from them. Like agencies and media and shit like that, unless you're Clutch, like you're not pulling strings the way that I think maybe in your head, like Zach Lowe is. And so I don't need to keep beating this over the head. Like I said, one last thing. I don't know, tens of $1 million on the table. It sounds like if you're Cam Thomas, that's what you believed was on the table. It sounds like if you ask any other team in the NBA, that was not actually realistic. Breaking news, player in any given sport asks for more than what they deserve. That's just kind of the name of the game. Now, what you're also seeing is in this new CBA, either you're a max guy or you're like a mid-level guy. It sounds like at this stage in his career, teams would rather pay a lot less for a guy like Cam Thomas and pay a guy like, I don't know, Chet Holmgren $200 million, or Paolo Banchero $200 million, or Cade Cunningham $200 million, something like that. And there's not that much of a middle right now. There's just not that much of a middle. And so it does stink for a guy like Cam Thomas that he kind of, for a guy who can score 20 a game, and it takes him 18 shots to do it, but he can score, 20 a game, and he can dish out 4 assists a game. Like, I don't like the way that I have to frame all of this makes it sound like I hate him, because I really, really don't. I had no problem with what he said to Zach Lowe other than he said it to Zach Lowe. But like him lashing out at somebody on Twitter is funny. Who cares? It bothers you that people said it's unprofessional. Did anybody meaningful say that it was unprofessional, or was it just like motherfuckers with like, was it just like Icy D-Lo with like with a shitty anime AV on Twitter? Was it just motherfuckers like that? I didn't see anybody, at least come across my desk, anybody of consequence say that it was disrespectful or crazy of Cam Thomas to do what he did. Because it's really just kind of the nature of how athletes operate on social media these days. This isn't 10 years ago. People dish and they take, right? Rather, I should have flipped that. They take and they dish now on social media. And I think Kevin Durant's been a pioneer in that. I think Kevin Durant's one of the funniest posters that we've ever had graced the internet. And then the third and final thing, oh, this sucks. Oh, I'm sorry. The third and final thing you said here was, my girlfriend sat there dying laughing at me, and I am embarrassed. I assume in the last episode when I just spent 10 minutes being like, hey, I disagree with everything that you're saying. And he had said in the previous email that he and his girlfriend listen to the show making their Starbucks runs every morning. Wow, that makes me feel terrible. I'm sorry. You know what? And I've spent the last 10 minutes doing it again. I'm sorry, man. I really mean that. And can I tell you how I know sort of the idea of what you're going through with that? My biggest fear, like my most like final destination irrational fear, is if me and my girlfriend went to see a comedian at like a small enough room that I could get crowd worked. Like if we're seeing Stavi Baby, right? We're seeing Stavros Halkias. I don't know. What's a theater off the top of my head? The Funny House. It's not even a real theater. But somewhere local in Chicago where it's a small enough theater where he can single me out and say some shit to me that on the drive home makes Maddie reconsider things with me. Where she's like, wow, he kind of just let that happen. There's a whole I think you should leave skit about this, only it's with a magician. But like that is really my biggest fear. I'm scared that I kind of did that to you a little bit, but I'm really not trying to fight you. First of all, do we have beef? What the fuck are you talking about? Do we have beef? I know you probably typed that tongue in cheek. No, we don't have beef. I don't want anybody to ever think if they email into the show and I get a little charged up about something, we don't have beef. We do not. But I do feel guilty about this. I hope that, although I hope I didn't plant anything in your girlfriend loves you, dude. I hope I didn't plant anything in your head by projecting one of my biggest fears onto you. I would be mortified if that was me, and genuinely I feel bad about that. But also, like, it's funny, like the only reason I'm getting fired up about this is because you're so entrenched in something that I don't think is like real. I don't think it's true. And you say did people kill you for this in the comments or something? You said people disagree with you or something in the email. I don't know listen, you can be like, listen, the world rejected my message, but who ended up being right in the end? We're not going to do a third email to this unless the contract that Cam Thomas ends up signing is worth, I mean, I don't know if the number right now is damn $7 million a year over 2 years. And by the way, the second year was a team option is what they offered. Whoa. That has to mean something to you. Like, it's not the world against Cam Thomas in that instance. If the team that he plays for and the team that he got these buckets for is only offering him 2 years, $14.5 million with a team option, what do you think that says? Do you really believe that the call is coming from inside the house and they're colluding up in Joseph Tsai's owner box? No, bro. I just think it's a little bit more transparent in that. And like, what is the value that he brings other than really good offense? What is it? To you, it's as a top 10 scorer, which I think is maybe the reason why I don't want to keep being fucking mean to you, man. I don't. I really don't. But I just have to get my takes off. But it's not, I don't want it to be a take at your expense. We all have favorite players. We all have teams that we like. And we all have delusions that we create in order to like fit a little narrative box that we believe and perceive to be our reality. I think your reality right now is that Cam Thomas is a top 10 scorer in the NBA. Consensus, by the way, which were your words. But when everybody else is like, I don't know if that's true. Is everybody else wrong? All of us? Every single one. Wrong. Maybe. I'm not sure. You talk about the clutch media machine, though. I'm moving on to something else. We talk about I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. This is another reason I don't think we should get a third email unless something insane happens with Cam Thomas. Is because I don't like also because you have my brother's name and I wouldn't talk to my brother this way. I just feel bad. So I'm sorry. So I'm going to move on to something else. This clutch media machine. I got to tell you something. About a month ago, I said, we're not talking about LeBron anymore. We're just not doing it. Because this whole is he or isn't he thing with the Lakers and is he going somewhere else? Is he going to get traded? Is there going to be a buyout? Has just felt like an almost burger. It's not a nothing burger. It's not nothing. There's something going on and there has been something going on. But ultimately, like another summer of what's going to happen with LeBron and like what's up with the Lakers just isn't really that enticing to me and isn't really something that I feel like is worth spending a bunch of time talking about. But I have been thinking about this a little bit lately, and then so LeBron was he in Serbia? I don't know where he was, but he was with Jokic and Maverick Carter and Jokic's agent. And Jokic's agent posted a picture of like LeBron and Maverick Carter on a boat on his Instagram. And what was the caption? It was something, I should have had this. I'm sorry. I should have had this pulled up. So the caption was like, there's no better time to talk about the fall than in the summer or something like that. There's no better time to talk about fall 2026 than in the summer of 2025. It was something like that. What? Huh? Could you imagine if LeBron went to Denver? That would be, and I don't mean, and nasty is the word, and I don't mean it in like the nasty. I don't mean like stank face nasty. No, that's gross. That's not cool. I don't want to see LeBron in a Nuggets uniform. Would it be cool to see him and Jokic play together? Yeah. I don't know, like the Aaron Gordon piece of that is like super weird, but also you have LeBron and Jokic, like who cares? Also, like LeBron going from playing with Luka for, like 2 months to playing with Jokic is very funny in my head. I mean, damn, you go from who do you want to say he played with in Cleveland the first time? You go from playing with like Zydrunas Ilgauskas, a hooper's hooper, truly one of the most, like at this point, 15 years removed from his career, one of the more if you know guys, I think throughout NBA history. I don't know, but of the millennia, yeah, for sure, Ilgauskas was sick, but will always get brushed under the rug at this point. So he goes there from that to playing with D Wade and Chris Bosh and like Mike Miller, sick, nasty. And then he goes back to Cleveland and he's playing with Kyrie as he's like going, on this upwards trajectory, like reaching the peak of his powers, Ascension Kyrie, and Kevin Love. Whoa. He goes from that and he's like, I'm going to go play with a bunch of kids for a year. And then I'm going to play with Anthony Davis for like 5. And we're going to win a championship. That's sick. And then you go from that to playing with Luka. And then you might go from that to playing with Jokic, and I'm sort of creating, who knows really what that agent was talking about by making that post. I'm kind of just throwing something out there, right? But the main point of what I'm talking about here is just that there is this much conversation about what's going to happen with LeBron. Because I really don't want to go into his final season. I don't know. It might not be this next year. I really believed year 23, the marketing campaign that Nike can do for this thing is unlike anything. To me, like the best retirement, this is coming to me in real time. I haven't thought about this at all. This literally just popped into my head. American sports fans out there. To me, the best like retirement campaign I've ever seen in my life was the Derek Jeter, like respect, but with the 2 as the S. You know what I mean? Those shirts were like, they were everywhere. The hats were everywhere. You think about the gif of the kid and he like tips his cap to Derek Jeter. The broadcaster, not the broadcaster, but the in stadium, the guy who did the Derek Jeter. Totally just derailed myself there. No, it's probably just that, right? Now it's unknowable what Nike's little slogan for this would be. I'm just trying to think of one off the top of my head, and I'm not going to be able to, and I'll just run myself even further into the ground and totally corkscrew if I even try. But it just makes sense. A guy's never played. Nobody in the history of basketball has ever played 23 seasons. It is a number that I don't want to say is exclusively associated with LeBron because that would be insanely naive. But yes, that is LeBron, and he is 23. If it would have been way better if he went back to Cleveland, but it doesn't really sound like that's going to happen. And then it's like, we've done the thing on the show where we're like, hey, LeBron, if you really wanted to go somewhere else, you could have not opted into your $50 million player option for this season. You could have gone anywhere that you wanted if you didn't do that. But instead, you opted in, which handicaps the Lakers roster and totally eliminates whatever flexibility they may have had, even if you opted in at like a cheaper deal. But he didn't want to do that. And then I also don't know how, are we sure that we shouldn't blame the Lakers a little bit? Do you remember when the Luka trade happened on this show? This was widely speculated, but on this show, it was the episode, the day basketball died in Dallas. That was the episode where we covered the Luka trade immediately after it happened. And like 3/4 of the way through the episode, I don't totally remember what my logic was at the time, but I really believed that that was the week that LeBron was going to get traded. And I thought it might be to Golden State. I do not remember why I was led to that conclusion, but I do remember it being like medium strong. That did not end up happening. But you do kind of look back on that, and especially with the way that the Lakers season went, and there was no way for them to know that that LeBron was going to stink in the playoffs, and that Luka was going to be like 50 pounds heavier than, and maybe Nico had a point there. The other reason I say that, and I've never really cared about the whole like fat Luka thing. I've never cared about that because he's been an perennial MVP candidate and like an All NBA guy and an All Star and one of the 5 best players in the league, and he took the Mavericks to the finals, and so it's like you can drink as many beers as you want. Literally, who gives a shit? But when you see these videos of Luka this summer, I've been seeing a lot of pictures, but I finally saw a video the other day. Holy shit, he is actually like skinny. He is, he's got some heft to him, but like, oh my God, you actually did like lose weight. Whoa. So I don't know. Would you not have gotten more for LeBron if you traded him in February than you would right now? I don't know. Probably. Yeah. Because now, and this is another thing that's kind of pissing me off, I just don't like that LeBron's being treated as a negative asset. It irks me a little bit. If you want to point to his contract, I guess. But I would also say, if you watched 30 random Laker games last year, like before Luka got there, 30 is probably not even enough, but for the sake of it, he was pretty easily identified as like the best player on the court. And if you didn't know that he had turned 40 last year, you know what I mean? Because that's also the other take is like, dog, LeBron in a wheelchair would still get like 10 first place MVP votes. He'd still be an all-star, even if it's like a lifetime achievement award and people just vote him in because he's getting voted in. But he would get voted in on merit because he's having a good season. Put him in a walker, give him crutches. He's going to get MVP votes. It's fucking LeBron, dude. And so that's kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I just don't like that this has gotten kind of gross. It's not ugly yet. It hasn't gotten ugly yet, but it could. And I don't like that if this is kind of how it's going to like go out. I don't know. Do you think, how likely do you think it is? Another thing, I'm bullshitting here. I don't know. Haven't thought about this at all. Do you remember when the Saudis offered Mbappe like $1 billion for like 1 year to play in whatever fake league they have over there that Ronaldo ended up playing in and like Neymar ended up playing in? Is it the same league or was it two different leagues? It's unknowable. It's unknowable. Nobody's watching that shit. And all of these NBA players were like, ooh, I think even LeBron had a tweet about it where he's like, ooh, if I got that money, I'm heading to Saudi or some shit like that. It's like, yes, that is actually what it's called, LeBron. Good job. He didn't go to college. He hardly damn went to high school, so he probably does think it's called Saudi. Even Draymond had a tweet about it, and it was like, "You offer me $250 million, I'm heading to get ready to learn oil, buddy, because I'm going to Saudi Arabia." You think it's inconceivable that they would? Surely they have a basketball league over there. LeBron gets $300 million after he retires from the NBA. Do you think he plays in Saudi Arabia? I really don't think so. I really, really, really don't think so. But what is he talking to Jokic for about? Are they going to start like a what's the word I'm looking for here? Like a competitor league? I don't know. Probably not. No way, right? No, LeBron and Jokic wouldn't do that. I mean, Jokic just trying to. If Jokic did anything after basketball, it would just be racing horses. A video came out about Jokic crying because his horse won a race. Awesome to see. It showed more emotion because a horse pulled a cart around a fucking track faster than any other horse. And meanwhile, he won 100 MVPs and has been an umpteen-time All-Star and is maybe the best player in the world and won an NBA championship, won a Finals MVP. And he was like, now we can go home. Now you can go race your little horses. Nikola Jokic, very cool. I don't know, just bums me out as a guy, lifelong LeBron guy. I just don't really like to see it. I don't really like to see it go out this way, and I think it stinks. But copingoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to this program. Oh, this one's funny. It's not about hoops though. It's a little long. From Quezzy? Quessy? Is it Quezzy? I'm gonna say Quezzy. Welcome to the show. If you said my name is too complicated to pronounce, so call me Juke. Oh, it's not Quezzy? Kwesi. Quezzy. All right. What's up, Juke? Subject line, 5 years late, but I need to get this off my chest. Hello, sir. Or should I say, what's up? What's up? My name is too complicated to pronounce, blah, 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 blah. So call you Juke. What's up, Juke? I'm a longtime listener, first-time emailer. Recently, you spoke about not watching shows that are too long, and I really respect that. It made me think of something, though. In 2017, we were given Justice League, a film made by Zack Snyder and finished by Joss Whedon. It sucked. I don't know why that's so funny to me. Then a couple of years later, people started calling for something called the Snyder Cut to be released. This was an unfinished version of the movie that was supposedly going to make it a good film. When it was finally released mid-pandemic, I remember people saying that if this had come out instead of what we got in 2017, the DCEU would be so lit. I'm here to say that's so freaking stupid for two reasons. One, the original cut of the movie wasn't the 4-hour slow-mo slop fest we got in the end. People earnestly think that Warner Brothers had a 4 or 5 hour movie sitting in the chamber just waiting to release, and they just decided to keep it. Movies are really long nowadays, but let's be for real. Once people bullied the studio, they let Snyder come back, and there were more shoots because they realized they can put it out again via streaming, and dummies are going to pay to watch it. The key detail, though, was that they filmed more of the movie. This means there wasn't even a quote-unquote finished Snyder Cut to begin with. Bro just came back, looked at what we all hated about the theatrical release, and then changed some of those things via making more of the movie and extra editing. Reason number 2, the movie got longer and still sucked. People say that the Snyder Cut is better, but that's because 2017 was really bad. The Snyder Cut was still trash. It just made slightly more sense because we had all of the context from other scenes that were cut. Even with more context, the Snyder Cut is so full of itself with egregiously long slow-mo shots and pointlessly needless ham-fisted scenes. Snyder knew it was going to be on streaming services, so he just made it as long as possible. I honestly think most people find movies inherently better when they're longer because we are afraid to say we wasted 4 hours of our lives watching Dookie. Nobody likes to admit they wasted time on Dookie. And Snyder preyed on our pandemic watch history insecurities. It's like Stockholm Syndrome for our attention span. In conclusion, I don't know, bro. Stop trying to give Zack Snyder money. Do you have any movie opinions that make you feel like you're the only one not drinking the Kool-Aid? Hey, Juke, can I give you so much credit? One of the best hater emails I've ever read on the show. Because it was real. Because it was rooted in shit that was real. And it's so rare where you toe the line of like, I don't even think you were hating just to hate. This is a guy who hated the fucking Snyder Cut. Now, I gotta tell you something before I actually answer your question at the end there, and I'm done giving you your flowers. I, like probably all of you at home, remember when the whole Snyder Cut thing was happening. I was very privileged at the time that I did not give a single shit about anything that happens in the DC universe. Didn't care. They've never been able to get the wheels off the ground with anything meaningful. Some of you might be going down in the comments, well, actually, the new Superman movie is actually really good. It might be. I think Superman is dumb as hell. He's not a superhero. He's an alien. How about that? The only reason that I might ever see the new superhero movie is because I caught wind of who's going to be playing Supergirl. Whoops. Whoa. That will get old Nick to the theater. Put some Millie Alcock on my screen, and I will check it out. I'll see what's going on just for the sport of it, just for the observation of phenomena of nature. Just gonna check it out, see what's real. How long is she in Superman? Sorry, that's a spoiler. I'm sorry. I'm not bleeping it. I'm sorry. I imagine if you wanted to see Superman, well, you would have. I'm sorry. I blew that one, and I can't censor that because I need that take out there. I desperately need everybody to know that I will watch her play Superwoman. Supergal? Supergirl. That was not nice what I was about to say, but you know what I was about to say. I don't even mean that about her, so I don't want to say that. Supergirl. Good for her. The guy playing Superman this year, what's his name? I'm not going to be able to think of it off the top of my head. He's the guy in Pearl. Nice. I guess that was the reason. That was the, who the hell directed this movie? See, I just don't care. The DC movies, they've never been able to do it for me. The Nolan Batman movies don't even count. When you talk about like a DC Comics like cinematic universe or whatever, it's all just been bad. None of it's been good. So when all this stuff was happening with the Snyder Cut, I literally didn't care. And to your point, brother, Zack Snyder is kind of one of those directors that is so... His style is so easily identifiable that if you go into a movie and you didn't know it was directed by Zack Snyder, it's going to take you 10 minutes to figure out, if that. It could be 5 minutes to be like, this is a Zack Snyder movie, isn't it? I don't really know how to describe his style of shooting and his style of editing, and there's almost like a vignette around everything. The first one I ever saw of his was 300, which came out in, like 2007? That's a really big deal. It's like there's like maybe like the 4th rated R movie that I ever got to see. So that was really, really cool for me. Gerard Butler's... Butt was in the movie, and I had to look away because I wasn't allowed to see a grown man's ass. But I was allowed to see Persians get their fucking heads and cut off and their ears cut off and their eyes sliced out and shit like that. Just like can't look at a grown man's ass. Got it. I don't know, a director that I got some heat from you guys about my Paul Thomas Anderson take. that I don't care about any of his movies, and I think most of them aren't good. I did actually, just within this last week, rewatch There Will Be Blood. It is one of the single best movies that has ever been made, ever, period. And it is, what is highlighted is the single best performance that any actor has ever had in any movie ever. Daniel Day-Lewis. And the rest of the week, I just kept saying in my head, I've abandoned my child. I've abandoned my boy. I can't stop saying it because he's so brilliant in that movie. And I think it's a movie that after you watch it once, give it some time, rewatch it again. Well, just rewatch it. It's so good. Outside of that, let me pull these up. I think One Battle After Another is going to be really, really, really good. I think some of that might just be because Leo's in it and it's about political revolution, and so I'm just really interested in it. But there's a new trailer that came out for it. Benicio del Toro is going to be in it. Tiana Taylor is going to be in it. She raked Iman Shumpert over the coals in their divorce settlement. Tiana Taylor did, so that's too bad. I don't know why. Maybe he did something to deserve it. What if I look at PTA movies? Will that get us what we need? Licorice Pizza. Hated it. Hated that movie. Phantom Thread. I didn't like it. I thought it was just really boring. Licorice Pizza had moments that were cute and that were funny. Phantom Thread wasn't a cute or funny movie. It wasn't supposed to be either of those. But it was one of those movies that the second that it was over, I was just kind of frustrated. You talk about spending a long time watching a movie and then being afraid to admit that you just wasted a bunch of time watching it. It's a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's crazy. I can't pull up the runtime right here, so I don't. Well, actually, it's got to be right there. It's unknowable how long this movie is. I don't think it's that long. Inherent Vice, fine. Perfectly fine. I thought it was fine. There Will Be Blood, again, one of the best movies ever. Boogie Nights, it's fine. I just think he's fine. People really like Paul Thomas Anderson, and I just think he's kind of boring. And that's it. There Will Be Blood might not be that interesting of a movie if Daniel Day-Lewis didn't have the performance of a fucking lifetime. You know who's another one, though? And this one's going to be a little bit controversial. Does not really fit what you're asking. And the truth is there's going to be a director that I'm not thinking of right now that later I'm going to be like, fuck, I wish I would have said this. I've had this long-standing thing with Ridley Scott where I'm like, I don't know. That is like one of the more high-volume directors that we have. And I think it's fun because he kind of doesn't give a shit and he just makes movies that look really cool and that are like fun to watch. He's the popcorn movie master is what he is. Like if you just don't think too hard about them and you just kind of let them be a movie, he puts out a lot of those, like a lot of them. The two most notable ones, just in terms of like being high volume, The Last Duel and House of Gucci came out within like a month of each other. He basically just filmed two completely different movies back to back, and then they were released within a month of each other. So at the same time, two Ridley Scott movies were having a theatrical run. Both of those movies, by the way, are perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. The Last Duel is good because it's the same movie for 3 acts told through different perspectives. And it's really creative the way that it's done. And it also involves one of the more brutal depictions of sexual violence. That I've seen in a movie, like worse than like Game of Thrones. It was like, wow, that's like capital R, Ray, like Tony the Tiger. That's no. But it was brutal and the movie was good. House of Gucci, another Adam Driver also in that movie. I watched that movie a couple times. One of the times was on a plane, but I wasn't watching it on my phone. I was watching it on a plane, like in the back of the seat. You know what I mean? So it was very uncomfortable when I remember, because I was high as shit, so I wasn't really thinking about it. I was like, how's it Gucci? I'll watch this for the 3rd time. Jeremy Irons, yay! Very uncomfortable when the scene of Lady Gaga having sex came on. That wasn't good. I felt very uncomfortable. Okay, so if we go through these movies, it's so funny because he's a pioneer in so many ways. Gladiator. Nobody could make that movie other than Ridley Scott. That's not true, but Alien. Brilliant. Nobody could have made that movie other than him, and I actually believe that. Blade Runner, the original. Yeah. Like, this guy has made some of the biggest classics of all time, but it's just so funny to me how many of... The Martian. Like, oh my God, it's the role of a lifetime for Matt Damon. We talked about The Last Duel. We talked about House of Gucci. Napoleon. Well, my problem with Napoleon is the same problem that I had with The Last Duel, which is like, if you're going to make the movie, will you please make the movie and will you make them do accents? I'm not asking for, they don't have to speak the language. They don't have to be speaking French. It's okay. But can you make the actors, make Adam Driver and Matt Damon do the accent? Or at least hire French actors or or English actors who know how to do the French accent. Something like that, because when they're speaking like an American, the Matt Damon's speaking like he's just got out of like a Dunkin' Donuts, unless he's saying the name of a French town or city and he puts a little on it, I get a little agitated. Napoleon is the same way. Why are there just a bunch of English accents in this movie? Joaquin Phoenix is talking like he's goddamn Joaquin Phoenix. Super violent movie, Napoleon was. Was it good? It's a popcorn movie. Like, it was fine. Black Hawk Down. Another one that was just brilliant. American Gangster. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do about what's the character's name? This is a spoiler alert, but the movie's been out for almost 20 damn years. I'd like to imagine if you wanted to see American Gangster, you would have seen it by now. Denzel Washington's sitting in the diner and he sees Idris Elba like he's buying an apple like an asshole. And Denzel Washington's like, hey, everybody, like, stay right here. And he walks outside and he's like, hey, Idris Elba, where the hell's my money? This wasn't even in the script, by the way. This was just them on set and the cameras were just rolling. Idris Elba was like, ooh, you're Denzel Washington. You're good for it. Denzel Washington pulls out a gun and he puts it to his forehead. And Idris Elba's like, what are you going to do? You're going to shoot me right here in front of everybody? Denzel Washington blows his fucking head off. That movie rules. That movie's awesome. I've only ever seen it the one time, and that was like 2 years ago. No, it was way longer ago than that. Nah, it was like during COVID is when I saw it. That movie rocks. Robin Hood, not good. Exodus, Gods and Kings, not good. The Counselor, didn't think it was good. G.I. Jane. Yeah, it's been way too long since I've seen that. I don't remember. I mean, like 15 years since I've seen that. I don't even remember. What else is in here that I want to see? I didn't end up seeing The Gladiator 2. I didn't know he did The Gray. That's interesting. He did Death on the Nile? No, he didn't. And Murder on the Orient Express? No, he didn't. He did not do these movies. No, that's not true. I was going to say Kenneth Branagh did these movies. What the fuck is... Why? Okay, so what ones did Ridley Scott actually do? I'm getting my wires crossed here. I hope that answers your question. The real one is just Paul Thomas Anderson. I'm just not into his movies. At all. copinghoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to this program. These are some good ones back to back, actually. They sort of go hand in hand. This one comes into us from Harry. Harry, welcome to the show. Subject line, travel to the U.S.? Your thoughts? Hi, Nick. Long-time listener, first-time emailer. Thanks for sharing that Twitter space a few years ago where we talked about the Australian-New Zealand relationship. It's unknowable what I would have said in there. I probably asked some questions about, like, hey, are you guys the same? I did learn, sorry to hijack your email immediately. You're not the same. Absolutely not the same. That would be like, it doesn't matter. Just say what you're going to say. I learned recently, is this true, that New Zealand was originally part of like a greater landmass, like a huge landmass, and they had broken off from like a supercontinent, but it wasn't like Pangea style. It was a different one. And then it landed where it did. And then like 90% of the country like fell underwater. This was, I mean, a damn millennia ago. You know, this didn't happen in the 60s. But it was the tallest parts of New Zealand that didn't go underwater. It was the continent was called, or country, whatever it originally was, that broke off from the supercontinent. It's called like Zealandia, something like that. Is that true? Or did I get bullshitted? And that was, did I get ballsack sports on geography? Is that what happened there? It doesn't change anything whether it's true or not. I just thought it was interesting. I had never heard that before. Back to your email. From your discussions of the best things about America, extensive 4th of July talk, etc., you sound like somebody who has a lot of love for the United States, which I get. I have national pride in Australia for inexplicable reasons. I bring this up to ask, would you travel to the U.S. right now as a foreigner? I've got a year left of university, and I want to do some solo travel around this time next year after I graduate. Before COVID, I was in the midst of planning a trip to California. I think New York, Chicago, San Diego, and Seattle are top destinations for me, particularly when it comes to music, sports, and general culture. It would make even more sense given that the World Cup is hosted there next year. Australia qualified again 6 times in a row, baby. They did. I was just watching a video where it went over like 10 teams right now who have qualified. And yes, Australia, I mean, you obviously know this, but I saw Australia and I made a mental note of it too. I was like, wow, good for them. So it's just funny that you brought this up because yes, they did. Back to the email. However, given the ICE situation and the implicit aggression towards foreigners right now, not to mention anything else about the country's economy, polarized population, it would be easier for me as a white guy, but certainly not impossible to face some issues. See this example of an Australian with a working visa returning to the United States. You've included an email, a link here. Is this the link of the guy who had the picture of JD Vance on his phone, and so they made him leave the country? I'm just trying to skim through this if they say anything about JD Vance. I don't think it is. No, it doesn't look like it is. It looks like this is some serious shit. Okay, that's interesting. I'll read that later. Back to the email. Would you have any reservations? Should I just go to Vietnam instead? Obligatory NBA take. The Spurs will be a top 6 seed, and Wemby will end the year as a consensus top 4 player in the league at the very least. Giving that team Dylan Harper. Oh, I'm sorry. See, this is where I can't read. Giving that team Dylan Harper feels like cheating. Thank you for all that you do. Yeah, it does. Dylan Harper was really sick, and it somehow kind of has gone under the radar that they got him. So I completely agree with you. Consensus top 4 next year. That's how you use the word consensus, by the way, just to do a little callback. Sorry to disrespect Matthew again, but I think there's a world where everybody is like, at least 90% of the people who actually #watch ball are like, yeah, Victor Wembanyama. It's so funny that you said top 4. Just fucking say top 5. It's just so funny if you were doing a power ranking and someone put him at 5. You're like, you don't think he's top 4? The fuck? I don't know. You put a guy at 7. What, you don't think he's a top 6 guy? Shut up. But yeah, I don't know. You could be right there. Now, it is important here. Let's all be honest here. You did self-identify as a white man. Yeah, I mean, if you were living in, like, Honduras, for example, if you were living in Uruguay, if you were living in Chile, Panama, I might be like, I love that you want to come here, but for your own sake, I'm worried at what would happen if you do. I don't know. I don't know how realistic that is, and maybe that sounds like I'm fear-mongering. I'm not trying to say that to be funny. I'm saying that because I feel like that's kind of the worst place that... If you live... let's go even further abroad. Well, no. I don't want to go further abroad, because then I'm going to start to get a little weird. You can come here. Anybody can come here. But, like, I don't know. You know what? And I guess I shouldn't have read that. Because I don't know. I really don't. I would be more curious. I guess I'm more interested in the fact that you want to come. Because everything that, like, we're sort of being told by other people who live here is that nobody's going to want to come here. I think even I've maybe participated in that a little bit. We're just like, for the World Cup next year, I just wonder, because a lot can happen in a year. I don't know. Who knows what it's going to be like next year? Some of you guys did, in fact, you did inform me. I asked this as a question. I was like, I don't know if ICE agents were at any point posted up outside of the Club World Cup, but it wouldn't surprise me if they were. Some of you guys informed me, even sent me some articles, which I really appreciated. Yes, that did happen. And so I don't know. Like, I hate to be so, like, what's the word? I just hate to sound like a dork, being like, well, if you're a white man, you'll be fine in the United States. But I do actually kind of feel like, as soon as you're clocked as a foreigner, and let's be real, brother, you're not hiding that accent. You know, there's something I learned this. I think was this from Margot Robbie that I learned this? Australians, it's like there's more space in their mouth. And so the way that they enunciate, it's in some words, it's because of the space that they have in their mouth. Is that actually true? We're learning a lot about New Zealand and Australia today, which, by the way, not the same place. They don't want you to say that it's the same place. Even though if you put two of them next to each other, most people I don't think would be able to identify. That's not true. Because Nicole Kidman and Margot Robbie don't sound the same. I think Margot's from Australia and Nicole Kidman is from New Zealand. Steve Irwin. Shout out to Steve Irwin. Damn, man. Damn. His son was recently in the news because he like stiffed a waiter and he like dined and dashed and then like went back and paid the bill or something, and people got all pissed at him. And I was like, I don't know, he owned it, and then put a video out sort of self-reporting that he dined and dashed. I don't know, whatever. At least he went back to pay it. You'll be fine, I think, if you come to the United States. I would say this. Can I ask you a question, though? I'm not trying to sound rude. You said, what did you say in here? You said you wanted to go to California. I was in the midst of planning a trip to California. I think New York, Chicago, San Diego, and Seattle are top destinations for me. I just want to, let's just be clear, because this is not uncommon. This is a thing. Maybe you're coming here for like a month, but you got to pick like 2 of those. You could do like New York and Chicago if you're here for like, I mean, you could do it even if you're here for 3 days. You would just be traveling a lot. But like, San Diego and Seattle, even that, I don't know. That's a lot of distance. You're going from like, what, the bottom of California? Even lower than Los Angeles. It's like, is it 90 minutes south of Los Angeles? And you're going to like the top of Washington on the coast? Yeah. Or not on the coast. Isn't it in that little like bay? Whatever. That's a lot of travel. So there's like a super famous meme. This is years old at this point, where there was like somebody who was like, "Oh, we want to do Vegas and then New York and then we want to do Miami and we want to do all this stuff, and we're here for a week." And it's like, it's a big country. I don't think it's a big country. So I don't think I need to keep. There's no way that you would 100% be focusing on like one of those places. Do you want me to power rank them for you? This is tough in terms of where you should go. New York, Chicago, San Diego, Seattle. Well, selfishly, I'm going to say you should come to Chicago. But the World Cup's not going to be here. It will be not in New York City, but it'll be in East Rutherford, which is just like across the street. Not really, but basically. Is it in San Diego? Is it in Seattle? I actually don't know. It would make sense if it was in Seattle. Play at Lumen. Don't know where they would play in San Diego. San Diego's beautiful. It's not that there's not that much to do. Isn't SeaWorld in San Diego? I think they have a really good zoo as well. I don't know what you're into. You want to look at some fucking animals? Go to San Diego. If you want to look at rain and mountains, go to... Yeah, okay, this is how I can do it. If you want to look at cool animals, go to San Diego. You want some nice sun, go to San Diego. If you want to look at rain, Starbucks, and libs, and Amazon, go to Seattle. Did I say animals go to Seattle? I meant San Diego. If you want to see the best architecture in the world in a concentrated area, come to Chicago. I got a really good hot dog place for you, but we're going to do that in the next segment. Because somebody asked for like Chicago tips. If you want everything, if you want all of that shit, go to New York. If you want all of that rolled into one, go to New York. So it's the Mecca. It's just where you're supposed to go. If that truly is the big city, you know. That's fun though. You'll be fine if you come to the United States. Again, your accent's very clockable, but it's not. Well, I was going to say, I don't want to say that we're the fucking Gestapo over here. Well, it's easy for me to say that because I'm not the one getting checked. I'm not the one whose doors they're knocking on. I'm not the one who has to worry about, like, unmarked cars and people who aren't self-identifying as, like, federal agents. That's not me. Never going to have to worry about that. Although, I don't know. You know, never say never, I guess. I don't know. Even saying all this, it feels sensationalist, but it's like, it is in some way the reality that A, people in this country are living in, and B, I don't know, what the fuck is this alligator Alcatraz, man? We talked about it a little bit a couple episodes ago. What the fuck is going on? Are they going to fill it up with Australians? I watched a video the other day of a baby kangaroo hopping into a pouch. I've never seen that before. Ever. Of course I knew the pouch existed. Are you kidding me? That's like Kangaroo 101. They have funny pouches. Kangaroo 102. Damn, those tails are strong. Kangaroo 103. Damn, those motherfuckers are yoked. it's not just their tails, but they just kind of like be standing on their tails. Dog, they're like chiseled. You get into a fight. There's another famous video of like there's a dog who got into a fight with a kangaroo. I swear the kangaroo had him like by his throat, and he's like, "You little fucking dog, you little piece of shit dog." And then, he's in a headlock. I think the kangaroo had the dog in a headlock is what it was. And then like the dog's owner like runs over the kangaroo and just punches it in the face. And then the kangaroo just like drops the dog and just like looks at the guy like, "What the fuck? Did you just punch me? Did you just punch a kangaroo? What the hell?" I would not do that. Their nails, like their claws, fuck no. No, dude. Kangaroos are not this like cute little storybook, like you reading it to your kid and all they do is hop around. Those fuckers are mean, man. They look evil. But I see this video of a baby hopping into a pouch. I had just never actually seen it happen before. I've seen like heads poking out of pouches, but watching it like get in the pouch was actually kind of gross. Because it just looks like it's climbing inside of another animal, which I guess it is. But I don't know. I was like, wow, store some like Zin in there. So I don't know. Something. I don't know. So another email that I wanted to read though, I hope I was even like 1% helpful there. I don't really know if I was. We got another email here. I apologize. It's going to take me a second to find it. It's unknowable if I'm going to find this email. This comes into us from Devin. Devin, I believe, welcome back to the show. Subject line, visiting Chicago. So honestly, this is if you want to, whatever. Hey, Mr. Copenhauer, I've got some questions about Chicago. Me and my two friends are from Canada, and we are going down to Chicago at the end of August. We are currently planning our trip, and I just wanted to get some info about Chicago from a resident of the city like yourself. What would you recommend we do there? Where should we go? What places should we stay away from? Do you have any unknown spots that we should hit up? Both of my friends already have a few ideas, but I was invited to join the trip pretty last minute. We're going to see Avenged Sevenfold play, and I am a fan. That's awesome. I don't know much about the city, so we are just hoping to get some tips. Obligatory sports take, the Yankees fucking suck. Yeah, Aaron Judge. It's too bad that there wasn't any UCL damage, pussy. I don't even like that take, because from myself, yes, fuck the Yankees, but I like Aaron Judge. He's having, once again, when it's July and you're hitting like 324, what am I supposed to do? Like, you know what I mean? All I can really do is be like, oh, it's too bad the cartilage in his elbow wasn't horrifically damaged. No, I don't want it to be. He's a good guy, but he's a Yankee, you know. Speaking of Derek Jeter, the funniest thing, I will respond to your email. In the other guys, Mark Wahlberg being the Yankee Clipper, that's so funny. You shot Derek Jeter. Hey, yo, Dick. I'm Derek Jeter. You shot me. So funny. That's so funny. What should you do in Chicago? Well, we did like over a year ago, like a year and a half ago, I did like one of these emails, but I just ended up saying, because I didn't fucking care, I ended up just being like, just do all the tourist shit. And then I ended the email and I started talking about something else. So I want to be a little bit more thorough about this. I imagine you guys will just be hanging out downtown most of the time. I don't know where Avenged Sevenfold is going to be playing. That seems like a band that would play at Wrigley, honestly, but who knows where they're going to be. I stand by doing all of the tourist stuff when you come to Chicago, but let me strike something off of your list that I don't think you should do as a tourist thing that I don't think you should do when you come to Chicago. So the Sears Tower or the Willis Tower, which is the most recognizable building that we have in Chicago, is the tallest building in the city. Up until 1996 was the tallest building in the world, and then was surpassed, I believe it was the Burj Khalifa. So you can go to the top of that. It's called the Sky Deck. I don't remember how much it costs. It's a lot more than what it should be, but it's a tourist trap, and so that's, such is life. You get up there, first of all, the conditions have to be good, because if it's cloudy, then clouds are just going to be around the Sky Deck, and you're not going to be able to see anything. You can go up there, and there are, like, ledges that you can stand on. They're, like, plastic, not plastic, but, like, these, like, little mini cages that extend out beyond the building, and so you can stand over nothing. You get your picture taken, and you stand in line, and it's cool, and you just kind of look around. And there's a restaurant up there, too, a couple floors up, but I just think you kind of go up there, and you look around, and you're really, really high up, and that's cool. But at the end, you're just kind of fucked out of like $50, and you're like, well, So I just, you know what, man, I really don't think that's something that you should spend your money on. But if you just want to be really high up and take some cool pictures, then by all means go for it. The tourist things that I'm really talking about that you should do, I think you should go to Navy Pier, which is exactly what it is, just a pier. And it's really nice. Free, by the way, free to get in. Walkable, depending on where you're staying at. You can just get there by walking. Prepare to do a lot of walking, by the way, especially if you're staying downtown. Navy Pier is great. My girlfriend and I, we took our son there just like a week ago just to do some people watching. A lot of Europeans out. It was really nice to just listen to people talk. I don't know. It was fun. We ate at Margaritaville, which was really fun. Loved me some Margaritaville. Had a drink. And then, yeah, there's a lot of alcohol there. It is super, like, it's a big tourist trap. But if you want, like, Chicago souvenirs, Navy Pier is there are a million different vendors. It's going to be super crowded, but I don't know. It is just sort of a fun place to be. There's a big Ferris wheel, lots of food, lots of drinks. Outside of, like, that, I don't know. There's, like, stuff to do. They got a golf simulator. They got a damn soccer penalty kick simulator. I wanted to do that so bad. I wanted to do it, and I wish you could pick who the keeper is, because if it's Onana, I'm going 10 for 10. If it's Ederson, I'm going 6 for 10. If it's Donnarumma, I get one on him. I get one. And it would be some bullshit because I would break the rules and I would stop mid stride and I would point my foot in one direction so he would dive like an asshole and then I would just go dead center. Courtois, who a couple episodes ago I said I couldn't think of who that was. I'm an idiot. The reason I know who he is because he's the biggest guy I've ever seen in my fucking life. Real Madrid's keeper. I knew that. Not in that moment I didn't. I had to look him up after. And I was like, oh, shit, I feel dumb. So, yes, Courtois, 0 for 10. Not getting any on him. Alisson. If I said 1 for Donnarumma, I also have to say 1 for Alisson. I don't think I believe that, though. But anyways, sorry, back to the thing. So that's a really good one. Architecture tours may not sound like a good time, but it is cool, and you get to be on a boat. Myself, we've actually never done them. It's like the one tourist thing I've never done here. I've always wanted to go on an architecture tour. We just have never done it. So that's really fun. For food, this is what I was saying a couple minutes ago, like 10 minutes ago. I got a new hot dog spot. It's downtown on Adams, I think. It's right by the Bean. So if you're going to like Grant Park, you want to check out the Bean, look up Jimmy's Gyros and Grill or Jimmy's Grill and Gyros. It's something like that. The Greek food, gyros. It's Jimmy's. Holy friggin' smokes, dude. They got a chili dog over there. Holy smokes. Loved it. Thought I ordered 3. Accidentally didn't hit the plus button and only ordered 1. I was devastated. Because it was so good. Another place also downtown on Michigan Avenue. There's this place called Sweetwater. I imagine it's still open. Maddie and I have never actually had great experiences there. The food is always just fine. But I love the atmosphere, and that's why we kept going back to it. And at this point, she just doesn't like the food there, and so we just don't go anymore, which really bothers me. But like I got the last time we went, I think they were filet mignon sliders, which sounds like, how could those be bad? Well, if you don't season them, then they're not going to be very good. I know this isn't like a very glowing review, but atmospherically, I really liked the restaurant. I think the pricing was like medium. Like it's like, yeah, we're in a major city and we're at like not a fast food place, you know? So you pay a little bit of money there. Go to Gordon Ramsay Burger. That's something you can do. Talk about Gordon Ramsay Burger. Another touristy food place, actually, just while we're on the subject. Harry Caray's has a bacon mac and cheese burger, where it's like just a bacon cheeseburger, and then there's a fried ball of mac and cheese that they put on the burger. And when you smash it or take a bite, like mac and cheese just goes everywhere. Dude, it's nuts. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to give you like one more food place that we like, but it's actually like local, cause like local to like downtown. There's a place up on the north side. If you are going to be by Wrigley, again, I don't know where Avenged Sevenfold is playing, called Diner Grill. We used to live a block away from there, and we would go all the time. It's like literally old-fashioned style. There's one counter and like 15 stools. So if the stools are taken, you don't get to eat. And then there's just one guy who works behind the counter, and he makes everything. And you just watch him do it. He only gives you water unless you explicitly ask for pop or soda. their English probably isn't going to be great, but that's sort of part of the charm. That's part of the experience. There's going to be a TV that like only plays television shows that aren't in English. Diner Grill is really, really good. There's a bar up there called Almost Home that we know the owner it's a pretty decent bar. They got some good food there, decent prices on drinks. But it's in Wrigleyville, so it is going to be a little bit more on the expensive side. If you want touristy pizza, Giordano's or Lou Malnati's, or what's the other one? We don't get deep dish here because we don't like it. What's the one that I'm not thinking of? Whatever. If you don't want Chicago style deep dish, you go to like Happy Camper. Yeah, I'm just trying to rattle some stuff off for you here. I really do think your experience here, I do think you should do the touristy stuff, and then whatever your friends want to do. Get some food, maybe go to like a street vendor around Grant Park and get some fucking churros or something, and just like hang out with the boys, walk along the water or something like that. Again, go to Navy Pier. I think you'll have a fun couple hours if you go to Navy Pier. But how about this? I mean, I can't let you guys go without bringing this up. So the Hunter Biden interview with Andrew Callahan from Channel 5 came out last Monday. And I didn't talk about it in the last episode, honestly, just because I forgot to, and there was so many other things the truth is I just didn't get around to it. And I do kind of want to talk a little bit about it here. Now, if you're not an American, you don't know anything about American politics, this might be a complete blind spot for you. And you might not know why everybody cares about the president's son being interviewed for 3 hours by Channel 5. It is actually very interesting because for a guy that we don't really hear that much from, period, and also haven't heard that much from literally at all in the last like 6 years since he became, since like his identity and things that he may or may not have done were co-opted by America's establishment right as like the single worst thing that has ever fucking happened in the world. We haven't really heard anything from him. And so I thought it was really interesting. And before I, really get in the meat and potatoes of this thing, I want to say something first, which is I believe that Andrew Callahan and Channel 5 are the team that he has assembled over the years are the single most influential and important pieces of real independent journalism that we have in our culture. Because you have so many people who say that they do that, but they don't actually like be reporting anything. They are just aggregators, right? Like a guy who I watch pretty much every single day is Kyle Kulinski. His YouTube channel is Secular Talk. I watch his YouTube videos almost every single day because he talks about things that are important to me and he delivers them in a way that is important to me. He always refers to himself as independent media, as independent reporting. And it always rubs me the wrong way a little bit because I'm like, dog, you don't report anything. What you do is you read articles from Al Jazeera and from Axios and from fucking, name a publication and a left-leaning publication, and you put it all into one video and you look at tweets that have clips in them and you say, look at this thing, look at this thing, look at this thing. I'm like, you're an aggregator. This isn't like independent journalism. You could say it's independent media because you're not being influenced or financed by any like greater powers or whatever the fuck, people who actually have dollars and cents. But it's not journalism is the thing that bothers me. Aggregation is not journalism. What Andrew Callahan and, again, his team that he's assembled does is real journalism. Like when you are boots on the ground going to the crises that you are trying to cover, whether it's, the most recent examples are you're going to Los Angeles and you're talking to the people who are experiencing the National Guard's presence, and then by extension of that, you then experience what is happening to them, or there's a crisis some unknowable crisis at the border in like Texas or something like that. Like, guess what? He's actually going to be there. This is just kind of what he and his people do, and I think it is some of the most honest work that you will find on the internet, and I really, really think he's great, right? And so this 3-hour interview comes out with Hunter Biden. It does kind of make sense that somehow they have somebody, in common and they were able to get connected. And somehow it makes complete sense that Andrew Callahan would be the one who gets to interview this guy for 3 fucking hours. And, I go into this thing not really thinking I'm going to care that much. The truth is I don't care a ton. But I did think it was interesting that we finally get to hear from this guy, right? Because for so many years, it was Hunter Biden's laptop. It was Hunter Biden's laptop. And a lot of the time, that shit pissed me off because I was like, Hunter Biden is not running for president. This has nothing to fucking do with anything. And then the question was like, what even is Hunter Biden's laptop? Which is something that Hunter Biden brought up a lot in this interview. He's like, what even is my laptop? What does that even mean? But I think on a deeper level, I do think that actually is an interesting question because when you talk about his identity and like these scandals that have been co-opted, they did kind of get conflated, and there was no real, like, so where did this come from? And so what is this even actually supposed to be? So the way that for so many years I viewed the Hunter Biden laptop was like, he dropped it off at a laptop repair shop in Delaware, and then a guy who was supposed to be repairing it, like, went through Hunter's hard drive and saw a bunch of pictures and videos of him with, like, chicks and, like, smoking cigarettes and, crack. And he turned that over to Rudy Giuliani, who at the time was Trump's lawyer going into the 2020 election. And then it became a whole big thing. And you have voicemails, and you have text messages, and you have emails. And he became boogeyman, because the idea at the time was that Hunter Biden was actually sort of the puppet master in these greater business dealings that influenced the White House and American politics, and he was involved in Ukraine. And the way that Hunter Biden ended up explaining the whole Ukraine thing was because at the time he was like a representative for like a gas agency or something. I was confused about what his position was. There's so much information in this, and after 3 hours of listening to all this shit, you're just you feel like his dad. Honestly, you're just tired. But okay, so some Ukrainians, like a Ukrainian gas company, reached out to Hunter Biden, and they're like, hey, because of the Russian invasion, we're getting all of our like gas and oil pipes cut off, and so we don't have any energy. And so is there something you can do to help us out? And Hunter Biden was like, yeah, at a time of crisis, I guess I can help you guys out, like whatever. Which, by the way, doesn't even sound that far-fetched to me, because that was a whole big deal for a while, especially at the beginning of this invasion within the last couple of years, which was not even just in Ukraine, but Russia being as massive of an energy producer as they are for all of Europe, that was just, something that people, I think Germany had a whole problem with this. I don't really remember this, so I don't want to get into the weeds with it. But I do remember that this was a problem, is like Russia threatening to cut off the power in Europe is basically what it was. I don't know, man. Like I said, there's just so much damn information in here. And I think you did kind of come away from it being like, did he do anything wrong? I don't even know. And I guess it doesn't matter to me, because I think that the evidence that this was just a like misinformation ploy, if not by agents of domestic descent, then of like foreign descent, i.e. Russia. And also, when your whole deal as a party is that Rudy Giuliani has all of the evidence to this really big, crazy thing, what does that say? And that Steve Bannon is involved in this? Like, everybody that was implicate is not the right word, but every single right-leaning voice that was that played a role in amplifying this narrative that Hunter Biden's laptop had anything to do with anything because he was addicted to crack and chicks and cigarettes. I'm like, all of those people at this point are either destitute, dead, or in jail. You know, what does that really say? Another thing that I thought was interesting was like they keep showing all these pictures of Hunter Biden and him like just looking horrible, just like ripping cigs. And I'm like, first of all, he looks awesome. Second of all, is this not sort of like the center left, like the dirtbag left sort of aesthetic that we've all kind of been looking for as a guy who's just, I don't know, it sort of seemed like he's just like hanging out with girls. Like, just, I don't know. It was just cool. He just seems like a fucking awesome guy. But I will say, I cannot tell you the amount of times over the years that against my will I have seen that guy's penis. I couldn't. It's unknowable. I could not tell you how many times it's been, honestly. And that was something else that they brought up is, you know, there's always this whole big stink that's made about, well, Facebook and Twitter, they suppressed the Hunter Biden story, and they admitted that they suppressed the story. Hunter pointed this out. Again, I think he's right about this. He's like, they suppressed the story because posting pictures of my penis on the internet breaks their terms of service. You're not just allowed to post pictures of my penis. All right? Which, by the way, is, yeah, that's true. You can't just post pictures of somebody else's penis. It's not really that nice to do. You're allowed to post pictures of your penis if you're Shannon Sharp and you're in the middle of a lawsuit with a 19-year-old woman who was like, hey, we had some pretty like rough encounters and maybe it wasn't that chill. And Shannon Sharp was like, we fucked on camera and I'll release the video right now. I'll tweet the video out right now. All these lawyers had to get involved. Don't fucking do this. This is the one thing these guys have in common is they just want everybody to see their penis. Only Hunter Biden did not want everybody to see his penis. But if you have seen it, you probably came away with the same take where you're like, whoa, good for him. Good for him. Would it have been the same for Shannon Sharp? It's unknowable. I don't know. But he did settle with that woman for like $50 million. So I'm going to assume that maybe whatever was being alleged maybe was kind of... This is the same guy who, like, when he was caught having sex on IG Live, caught having sex, he broadcasted it. And, you know, what did he say in the girl's ear? You hear it at the beginning. He says something like, you think... He's like, I'm going to kill... I don't remember what he says. Some super aggressive shit. I think it was like, you think this is a game? While he's in the middle of, you know... And that's such a funny thing to say to a woman. Look, it's a very primal act, the activity of, you know, intercourse. It's it's in the heat of the moment. Sure, some pretty crazy things could come out. I'm sure I've probably said a thing or two. But you think this is a game? What the fuck am I supposed to say to that? If I'm the woman in that situation, what am I supposed to say? Shannon Sharp leans in my ear. You think this is a game? What am I supposed to turn around and be like, Tag, you're it, leave the room? What do you want me to do with that, Shannon Sharp? I don't know. So Hunter Biden, the clips everybody's focusing on is like, him like breaking down the difference between crack and cocaine as if he's like, you know, LeBron talking on like the Mind the Game podcast, talking about a fucking hammer play and like a pin down screen or something like that. I don't know. It's like, yep, that was a thing that happened in it, but there was some interesting stuff in there. But again, there's just so much that it's 3 hours, dude. Like there's just so much in it. I did find it admirable that he is such a staunch defender of his family. I don't want to say it would be easy for him to not be. I don't think that that's true. But it was refreshing to see him be like, I love my dad. He's the best dad in the world, and blah, 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 blah. And so whatever you think about him as a president, I actually do believe that Joe Biden is a nice man who just loves trains and ice cream. Like, that seems like a pretty chill guy. And honestly, in that interview, I forgot that Biden had cancer. So I was like, oh, yeah, that's really too bad that he does. This is also going to sound dumb. But watching that Hunter interview, it was like, holy smokes, dude, you are your dad. Like, you're literally him. I mean, down to the, first of all, it really does prove everybody right who said that if Joe Biden just grew a beard, his approval rating would go up 15 points. Because Hunter had a little something going. He had a little something going. But you could tell he can actually grow one. It just wasn't, he had just been shaving it. Looked amazing. He looked so good. But, like, not only do they look the same, they speak the exact same, right? Their verbal mannerisms, their voices are the exact same. Their physical mannerisms are the exact same. And the way that they talk with their hands, when he gets a little bit agitated or there's a question or something, that Andrew Callahan was not a dick to him in this interview. They were really just having a conversation. Andrew handled it brilliantly. But when there's something that he kind of doesn't like, he does little scratches like this or something. There's certain points when he would laugh and he laughs out the side of his mouth, stuff like that. He squints his eyes the exact same. It was the same guy. Whoa, so crazy. So I don't know. I think it was an important interview because we finally got to hear his perspective on everything and how for so many years he was a victim of disinformation from a myriad of actors. Dozens, if not, hundreds, if not thousands of people participated in these like lies. I don't know. Just kind of became one of those things where it's like, well, we can't blame Obama for shit anymore, so we'll blame Hillary Clinton and we'll talk about her private email server. I'm not here to defend the Clintons. Fuck them. I don't like them. But that was the boogeyman, right? That put Trump over the edge in 2016 was, but what about our emails? It's like, yeah. Most of these people probably have private email servers. They're talking about war plans and fucking Signal, bro. OPSEC secure. There's a journalist in here, Pete Hegseth. So once they couldn't do that anymore, it was the Hunter Biden laptop. And now we're going back to Obama. We're doing Russiagate shit with Obama. Okay. Now, it's not really fair to say, like, well, now we're doing this. Trump's doing everything he can to not talk about. They just released, like, 10,000 files on Martin Luther King and his assassination. Not going to read that shit. No way. The only reason I'm not going to read it is because it's like, I don't, first of all, believe anything that's going to be in there. Also, anything that the FBI killed him. That's all that matters, right? But the other thing is like, oh, so if we just keep the Epstein pressure on, you'll just release more cool shit. Okay, that's actually fine with me. That's a fun game. Let's get to the Area 51 shit. Let's get to the Roswell shit. Let's get to like the aliens. You know what I mean? I guess that's my Hunter Biden recap. I don't know. What else do I got before I get you guys out of here? I saw some bullshit. I tell you what, I was reading an article today from Salon. Let me read you this headline. Sydney Sweeney's new campaign draws fire for racial undertones. The subheader, American Eagle's new ad campaign faces backlash over a slogan that some say reflects eugenicists' ideas of beauty. Huh? This is a real article, by the way. So I got some pushback on, like, you're not, you think you're just reading all these articles about Sydney Sweeney wearing jeans at American Eagle? Bitch, I was, first of all. Second of all, if you're watching today's episode, Salon, that's a real article. They're calling her a eugenicist because the tag for this new American Eagle marketing campaign is Sydney Sweeney has great genes. They're calling her a eugenicist because of that. Why? Because a white woman who has blonde hair and blue eyes and that's it she has great genes. If you guys don't fucking cut this shit out, shut up! Shut up! We're not gonna get good commercials if you guys fucking get mad about everything. Not everything has to be something. We got floods in Texas. We got kids, men, and women being fucking starved in the Gaza Strip. We can look at this woman in jeans. It's okay. It's all right. Stop. What, we can't have in jeans? Shut the fuck up. Sydney Sweeney is a eugenicist. Unreal. It really is like, first of all, I'm not trying to sound like a fucking dork here. These women can't do fucking anything. They can't do anything. Sydney Sweeney wants to sell her bathwater inside of a bar of soap. You're setting women back. Sabrina Carpenter wants to put out an album cover where she's on a leash and sitting in front of a man. You're setting women back. Sydney Sweeney wants to fucking, I don't know, she wants to sell jeans. By the way, American Eagle stock, week over week, market's not currently open as I'm taping this, is up 15 to 20%. Probably going to open at like, what, $11.62 a share? Not financial advice. Just take, do with that what you will. Hell, especially because it might tank when the market's open. Because now people think Sydney Sweeney is into eugenics. American Eagle. A racist institution. Oh, okay. They can't do anything. I'm really not trying to be this guy. Shannon Sharp threatened to put a video of him having unprotected sex with a woman on the internet to prove that he didn't do anything wrong. That guy's going to be on network television within the next 6 months. He'll be back in studio within the next 6 months after settling for $50 million and who knows what happened. Who knows what happened there? But a motherfucker wants to put on some jeans. And now she's a Nazi. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Shut the fuck up! If we don't have these commercials, then what is there? What is there? Why would we watch TV? If we don't have these commercials, why do I not pay for YouTube Premium? This is why I don't, by the way. It's for commercials like these. I'd love to see these commercials, and I want to keep seeing them. Shut the fuck up! Everything's got to be something. Everything's got to be fucking something. It's okay for us to have people who are phenomena of nature in commercials that convince us to buy the product because they know how to communicate the product. It's like the Kanye thing. Lady Gaga is the creative director of Polaroid. What the fuck does she know about cameras? Sydney Sweeney, the brand ambassador and lead spokeswoman for American Eagle. What the fuck does she know about jeans? How to put those motherfuckers on, I'll tell you that much. What does she know about a denim jacket? She knows how to... You know what I'm saying? So just let it be and shut the hell up. How about that? Try that one on for size, because it's a one-size-fits-all. Shut the hell up. Folks, if you're listening to this on Spotify, have you guys bought any American Eagle stock? I don't know. What's a thought-provoking question for you guys? Hey, I'm going to be, as a final note, I'm going to be at the Premier League is coming to Chicago this week. I'm going to be there. I cannot explain to you how excited I'm going to be. I cannot explain it. I mean, I've never looked forward to something like this in my life because of how long I've had to wait. We bought the tickets over 100 days ago. I mean, the day they went live, which was like 115 days ago, I think. Been waiting, bro. I get to see, and I watched the games that they just played in New Jersey. It looks like dudes like are like actually playing. Like Bruno Fernandes is actually playing. I might get to see like Xerxes. How do you say it? Garnacho. Not Nacho. Don't do that. Garnacho. I'm going to see him. I'm going to see Onana, and I'm going to be like, we lose every week. We lose every week. You're nothing special. We lose every week. I'm going to say some nasty shit to Onana. Probably not. I won't heckle him. West Ham's going to be there. I won't get to see the bubbles, which stinks. I've always wanted to see the bubbles that they do. I've always wanted to see that live. It'd be cool if for like an international, it's not a home game for them, obviously, but like they're 5,000 miles away from home. But it'd be cool if like just for the international experience, like they just did the bubbles. I don't know. I just want to see the bubbles that West Ham does. Gonna get to see Tyler Adams, right? Bournemouth. They're playing United. I'm so excited. This is such a cool moment for me. So I'll be there for both of the games on Wednesday, right? Premier League coming to Chicago. Hey, Spotify. This is a boring question. I've done questions about your jobs before. Can I ask again though? Like, what do you do now? What do you do now? And if you're in school and you're like not really working, or well, it's summer, so you maybe have a summer job or something like that. Like you can say like, oh, I'm going to school to be a doctor or some shit like that, or a lawyer. A lot of lawyers. I'm sorry, I know that's a boring question, but that's just a piece of data that we haven't collected like since we did the census, which was months ago at this point. So I'm sorry that that's a boring question, but I would like to know. Apple Podcasts. What's up? If Keke Palmer was the one in the fucking jeans commercial, nobody would have a problem with it, by the way. They wouldn't. And that's no shade to Keke Palmer. That's another one of those that, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, shut the hell up. Shut up. Sabrina Carpenter wants to, these fucking women, these pop stars can't do anything. They can't do anything. Drake his dick is on the internet constantly. Doesn't matter. Sabrina Carpenter fully clothed, but because she's wearing a leash, she's setting women back. Gotcha. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, nice little comment for the algorithm. Make sure to keep primary control in check. And I will catch you guys in the next one.
Beautiful.